Hello and welcome to the Microsoft CIO Network. I'm Barry Briggs, CTO for Microsoft's IT unit, and I'm joined here today by Dr. Ian Goldin, who is the director of the James Martin 21st Century School at the University of Oxford in England. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Barry.
Tell us a little bit about what you do at the James Martin 21st Century School.
The Oxford Martin School is an interdisciplinary community of well over 300 academics, really trying to find new ways of thinking about some of the greatest challenges facing the world across the spectrum. So health and medicine, ethics and governance, energy and the environment, economics and society, and also to harvest the opportunities. So we're unique in the world. We're about 25 different disciplines trying to tackle the very big issues in new ways.
Now, one of the topics you'll be talking about here at the CIO Summit today will be globalization. And in your talk, you'll be talking about some of the technological and economic trends that are really transforming the globe through globalization. And I think you're going to say that this is going to lead to one of the best periods in human existence. Tell us if that's true, and tell us why you believe that.
I think this is the best time to be alive. And I think we have the power in our lifetimes to overcome many of the biggest afflictions that humanity has always faced. So we should be able to overcome poverty in our lifetimes. We should be able to overcome many diseases. Life expectancy is increasing dramatically, about 2 years a decade. And it's being shared more widely around the world. Illiteracy is declining. Most people now have access. The level of education is increasing. So whatever indicator you look at, it's very clear, whether it's on income, well-being, or other areas, except for some crucial indicators which are around sustainability, environment, climate change, there's been enormous improvement. So if you're a particularly poor person, this is the best time to be alive, but I think for us it is too. Yeah. So we live in this amazing period of super connectivity. This connectivity, more people, more closely connected physically and virtually than ever in history, is going to release genius around the world. It's going to release creativity that unlike we've ever seen, a pace of innovation, and I find this incredibly exciting and a cause for great optimism.
And really the technology, I think, leads to a remarkable new period of interdependence across countries as well.
That's right. Well, that's the other side of the same coin. Globalization is a fantastic liberator of creativity. Integration is good, but interdependency, complexity, and systemic risk are the other side of this coin. And so the big challenge we all face is how do we open ourselves up, become more connected, but not become more vulnerable. And that's the theme of what I talk about, is how to try and harvest the upside without leading to a crumbling down and a collapse of the system due to its complexity and systemic risk.
Let's talk about, you use the phrase systemic risk a lot, and there are a lot of systemic, sort of global risks associated with all these opportunities. Some of them are risks from, for example, cyber warfare, from pandemics, from a wide variety of things which suddenly have global impact where they might have only had regional impact before. How do we mitigate those risks and turn them into systemic opportunities?
Well, I think we firstly need to understand the issue. We need to understand that this connectivity is both the source of strength and robustness. If we distribute the risk more widely, that's a source of strength, and it also creates the opportunity through creativity and innovation to overcome the problem. So we need to understand that, but we also need to understand where the vulnerabilities come from. We need to map the way that traffic works, so we need to find out where our network nodes are and build resilience around them. We need to make sure that we understand there will be more shock, there will be more surprise. That's the nature of the beast. We can't welcome it, but we can try and embrace it, and we can build resilience, and you've used that word. So how do we ensure that we're able to bounce back more rapidly, that contagion doesn't skip boundaries between different types of shocks, that we prepare ourselves and the public for what's coming, and that we're able to ensure that in this process we don't allow globalization to be set back. The biggest danger is that the public, corporations think, well, actually, this globalization process isn't working for us. It's leading to bad things coming too often, and therefore we're going to deglobalize. That's happened in history. It's a high risk. That would be the worst outcome, where we become xenophobic, where we put up protectionist barriers, and we try to get by without the benefits of globalization. That would lead to a downward spiral. So we've got to win not only the race on inventing ways of solving the problems more rapidly, but also we've got to win the race in terms of defining that this is part and parcel of the same process, and we need to be able to understand that.
So you wrote about a year ago or so that the global financial meltdown that happened beginning in 2008 was the first of a series of systemic crises that we're going to face. Do you feel like, and I think you subsequently wrote that the G20 countries were out of ammunition, to use your phrase, for solving the crisis. Do you feel like that's still the case? And do you feel there are more systemic crises like this to come?
Absolutely. I think that is the case. I see the financial crisis as very indicative of the sorts of crises we will have in the 21st century. It was occasioned by a really rapid growth of technologies in distribution networks and structures that weren't understood at all by the regulators and by the oversight system, and indeed by the risk managers of the institutions themselves, or the SEC, the Treasury, and others at the national and global level, the IMF. Despite all their data and all their qualifications, they didn't know where to look, how to look, and then they didn't know what to do about it afterwards. I think the G20, although it's progress, and we should welcome that, is doing much too little too late. And also it's looking back. It's thinking about how do we stop the next financial crisis. Well, actually, the next crisis are going to come in different ways from different areas. I think we are out of ammunition. The rich countries are all bankrupt. We don't have, I think, not only the money, but we don't have the attention span in our politics to think medium and long term and to prepare for what's coming. So it's going to be down to society and to corporates, I think, to play a very strong leading role in this.
What's the solution?
There isn't. The solution is no solution. Prepare yourself for a surprise.
Okay.
Build resilience. I think set aside resources for that. One of the things that's driving this problem space is that the way that the markets are priced, just-in-time systems, the sweating of assets, whether it's the capital on your balance sheet, the stocks in a warehouse, the oxygen bottles in a hospital, is all regarded as a wasted resource that needs to be sweated, and you need to drive it down. We need to understand that resilience and having some ability to absorb shock is actually a source of strength and sustainability. And I think one of the answers is trying to re-educate ourselves, our investors, our shareholders, and the market that actually, if you want sustainable growth, you need a little bit of fat in the system. You need to be able to diversify your investments. You need global asset class and other sorts of diversification. There will be more shocks, and we need to prepare for them.
I think the advice you give about being resilient, preparing for shocks is good at a macroeconomic level as well as at a technology level. And we're here with a number of global CIOs. What advice do you have for them?
This is a great community. These are the thinkers who are thinking about networks and of connectivity. Their role is to ensure that connectivity is stronger, more secure, and more effective going forward. And so this is a remarkable opportunity. But of course, they know the vulnerabilities of this. I guess what I would say is, firstly, ensure that you're robust and diversified. Don't concentrate all your assets of whatever type they are, intellectual assets, physical assets, in any one space. Diversification is an absolute key. Make sure that you're robust against the rogues. The problem with creativity and genius is that not only the good guys have it. There's a race here as well between those that are able to use this creativity for global good and the malevolent few who wish it bad for whatever reason. And I think we need to recognize that is there. We need to make sure that we build up trust relations. In the end, ensuring that we're transparent, that we're open with our systems, is a way of also making those that want to do bad feel isolated and come into the system. So I think there's a lot of responsibility on the way that we build our structures, not only to be very robust against penetration, but also to be open in terms of allowing the public to understand what we have and to come with us on this journey that we're going into. So this is a fantastic community. It's likely that not only they will be affected by, huge explosion of opportunity, doubling of power every year for the same price. What that's going to bring is almost unimaginable over the next 10, 20 years. The opportunity that will come from 1 billion new middle-class consumers, everyone coming into their space around the world. That's fantastic. It will lead to an explosion of new products that we can't imagine, but it's vulnerable. And sort of being able to play with both these things simultaneously, allow it to drive very rapidly and build the resilience and the insulation to it, I think, is going to be key.
Remarkable time we live in with great risks, but great opportunities.
Absolutely.
As well.
Couldn't be better.
Dr. Ian Goldin, thank you very much.
Well, thanks, Barry.
And for the CIO Network, I'm Barry Briggs.